welcome to the live orienteering coverage of the Nokian Tyres World Orienteering Championships from Estonia. I'm Catherine Betts, and Jonas Mattis and Jonas Mertz are here to provide some expert analysis of today's middle distance race from Vitipalu. So those are the scenes from around the area of Vitipalu. We've moved a bit further south from Tartu today, and the weather is looking pretty nice. It's 14 degrees, although at times it feels warmer when the sun's out. Wind, a bit windy with 11 kilometers an hour, but we're in a nice quarry here where there's a lot of sand, where we will see the runners pass through, and here are some of them. They've been warming up about 8 kilometers away in the quarantine area. One of the favourites there, Thierry Georgiou. We will hope he can get another middle distance medal. And Daniel Human having a little sleep. This is all the preparations that they do before the arena, just trying to get into the zone. At least someone acknowledging the camera. Everyone trying to prepare themselves for this very exciting race. And I can tell you it's a good one. But this is the warm-up era. Gustav Bergman, he's getting ready. And this was the walk from the quarantine to the start. There's Matthias Kuberts. He had to pull out the other day in the long because lost 2 sets of lenses. So he's really going to be hoping he can have a great race today. He will be feeling a bit unlucky, so we'll be wanting to do a lot better. This is Thierry Georgiou. He hasn't had a good middle distance, not had as good a spring as he would have liked, and didn't perform that well in the middle distance, but he hasn't run yet this World Championships, which may give him an advantage over the others, and we think it's going to be a terrain that he would really, really like to see. And world champion from the long distance, it's Olav Lindenez, and he is surely one of the favourites for today's race. But the men's race will be 6 kilometres with 24 controls and an estimated winning time of just 33 minutes. And with a start interval of 2 minutes, they've already been going off since 10:30 this morning local time. But Jonas Mattis, can you talk us through this course?
Yeah, I think it's a rather interesting middle distance course, so it's quite intense orienteering all the way. As you can see, there's not much track running because we think that going straight is mostly the best option. I think in this first part, for this first, I think it's 7 controls before this little passage over the street. And then into the area, it's a little bit different first. It's more the leaf in the way for limiting the visibility, and then here in this second part the forest is a little bit older. You have more pine forest there and a little bit more distinct contours as well, but still we think it's not worth it to run around that much because it's only 2.5 meters contour interval. So it's quite, we see a lot of changes in direction as well, and I think it's going to be key to do the whole 24 legs very good. So not only, I think it's not that difficult to actually to execute one leg well, but it's going to be important that you do it 24 times in a men's course.
And a very typical middle distance as well.
Yes, I think so. Here we can see some pictures from the terrain. It's the visibility is quite poor and limited, but still runnability is mostly okay. It's not that green like in the long distance 2 days ago. And we follow the runner, I think, from control number, what's that? It's 12 to 13 in the men's course. And we still see it's quite steep in this part of terrain, so it's the hills and the depressions are really distinct. So it shouldn't be a big problem for the top guys if they can keep direction.
Yeah, and there is where you see the green on the map is where there's a lot of the trees, the younger trees, deciduous trees that kind of come around chest height, and they're tricky to get through. And there's also all these fallen trees as well. But where you do get to the white in the bottom of the depression there, it is a lot easier to run through. And the visibility is not great, but actually a lot of these features are quite big, so you can see them. The Norwegians performed very, very well in the long distance. Do you see them doing well again today?
Yeah, I think they for sure are among the favorites. Most of all, of course, Olaf Lundanes, who won the long distance, but even Magne Deli and Eskil Skinneberg, who came 4th and 5th in the long, are going to be maybe not among the top favorites, but still we have to look out for them. And even Daniel Hubmann, who's in the picture here, I think it's gonna suit him, this kind of middle distance.
And that's the warm-up area, and it doesn't bear that much resemblance, to be honest, to the rest of the course. That part is a lot flatter, but how do they use that preparation in the warm-up area?
I think it's not going to be really important for most of the runners because they have been training a lot in this kind of terrain, and they know exactly what to expect. And I think they know that the warm-up mat isn't that relevant for the actual race.
And there's 82 men going off today. Can you talk us through these are all the earlier starters, the guys who expect to be a bit slower. Can you talk us through some of the start list and who we expect to be doing well?
Yeah, I think there are some really interesting names soon coming up. It will be with 147, Olli Ojanaho. He's still a junior from Finland, but did really well this spring. So I think he can be maybe fighting for a top 10 even, and that would be great for the 20-year-old Finn who's going to run JWOC later. And then I think it starts from like 158 with Eskil Skinneberg, who came 5th in the long distance, but even Wojtek Kral, he wasn't running the long but did a really good sprint result, came in 6th. And then we have the really top guys coming. I think we have to look out for Timo Sild. He's performed pretty well in the long, he came 10th. And even the Swede Albin Riedefeld, he's a strong middle distance runner, didn't run the long. And then we have the last starters, and of course all of them can, I think, fight for a medal or maybe even for gold on a really good day. It's going to be really interesting to see what Thierry Chauchou can do, because it's his last individual WOC race. He will, after the WOC, he will work for the Swedish Orienteering Federation as a coach. And yeah, he's been training for this race like the last year, since last WOC, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can manage to win it.
So current standings at the finish, the Belarusian Alexei Alexionok current lead with 40 minutes and 24 seconds, followed by the Canadian Damien Konotopets, who is 2 minutes behind. Of course, we've got some big gaps, and we've seen some people already running off the map in this course. So some long times, and they will soon be shortened even further to hopefully 33 minutes. This is Bartosz Pawlak, number 150.
Yeah, he's a strong runner from Poland. I think he's mostly known to be a really strong relay runner. He won the 2 Mila relay last year with his Swedish club Södertälje Nykvarn Orienteering as a first leg runner. And yeah, it's going to be interesting if he can perform well on this really technical course.
So they've got to run out of the start gate to the actual triangle. You see him just passing there. They will run down the track and use a couple of the GPS tracks.
Here you see some small route choice to the first control. Olio Yanaho, about whom I've been talking earlier. He went really straight to this first control, and even to the second he seems to run fairly straight. I think it's important to choose all the good lines, and I think he executed this one perfectly. So it's really nice to see that the young Finn is performing really well on this first couple of controls.
Yep, and Somes, the Latvian, has the current lead at controls 6 and 10, so it's looking good for the Finn, who was possibly about 30 seconds ahead at some points in the early stages of this course, just from taking a good route choice to number 1. And this area is number 1 is a bit vaguer compared to the rest of the course. It's less easy to see, you think?
Yes, I think so. Most of all, control number 2 is a little bit tricky because it's quite interesting to see Thierry Georgiou is checking his compasses, and seems like he decided for one of those two.
And the compass is going to be really important today.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot about keeping direction, even if the contours are quite round sometimes. So you really have to check your compass and cannot just run with the contours.
Robert Mehl, running for Austria.
Yeah, he was actually a junior world champion in middle distance 6 years ago in Poland. But yeah, and even in the elite class, he came 14th 3 years ago in the middle distance. So he's kind of a middle distance specialist. And
we've also seen him running the sprint this week as well. But this is split number 2. This is our control 18. As they've got to follow a ridge from 17 to 18, and we'll see where Simon Uphill from Australia is going to place. So most of the Latvians still got the fastest time at this point, and the Australian goes into 3rd place, 1 minute and 47 seconds down at this control number 18.
Here for the current lead between Alexander and Martin Baumholzer.
It's a great arena for watching as we see them come through the control twice, and let's have a look at some more of the GPS routes.
Yeah, it seems like Olio now did a small mistake coming into this 5th control, and all the advantage he had on Sirma is lost, so that must have cost him maybe 30 seconds. And even now he's a little bit behind.
Do you think he just made a parallel error, confusing the 2 depressions and the 2 hills there?
Yeah, it pretty much looked like it. He ran on the wrong hill, and I think that is going to be the kind of mistakes we're going to see most today, these parallel mistakes, because you can easily misunderstand or misinterpret the contours because they look similar.
Peter Hodkinson, a great sprinter from Britain. He is usually a fixture in the sprint relay teams, or has been for a few years, and it's his first time though in the forest at the World Orienteering Championships, and he is making his way to split number 1, and he's behind on the time of the Latvian so far as he makes his way up the hill, and will plunge. This is the control before the arena run through. Oh, we see him climb up here. He's caught 4 minutes on the Portuguese athlete. Oh no, sorry, Hungarian athlete ahead of him. So new 2nd place at the finish though. Baumholzer from Hungary has gone into 2nd place, 24 seconds behind the current lead.
1 minute and 1 second behind Martin Silva.
But we're also looking for some Estonians to perform well on home soil as well.
Yeah, sure. I think they had a better or more advantage in the long distance, because that was maybe for the other nations it was a bit more special terrain than today. But still, we can see here John Schneider, Swiss actually, but the coach of the Estonians. And here some more GPS. I think it's going to be a mistake from Bartosz Pawlak. And here you can see it's quite flat around or near the control number 1. So if you're not that precise with your compass, it's easy to lose time. And he actually did lost quite a lot of time.
Do you think there's a way we can explain that mistake? You were saying it's actually easier on the ground than it looks on the map to control number 1.
Yeah. I think I was talking mostly about this more southern part, later part in the course, because there the contours are really distinct. I think it's not the most difficult control number 1 to run in, because the forest is quite open there. So usually it shouldn't be a problem to keep direction. But yeah, if you're excited at the beginning of the race, it's easy to run too fast and make a mistake.
Andre Salin, he's making his way up the slope from control number 9 to get the new split at control number 10. Oh, sorry, this is not 10, this is 17 and 18. It's our TV split number 2. It's a very easy route, and Nick Han is also there for New Zealand. There's even when we were out running in the forest yesterday, because we were able to pre-run the courses, there were already tracks out in the forest, and you can possibly see just some of that underfoot. And for some places like this control 18, you can just follow them all the way to the control, but in other places they will try and push you offline, and it can be dangerous to go and follow them. You can make a directional error. But we're also expecting the forest for there to be more tracks in the forest as we get later into the day as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think mostly running in and out the controls, there will be some tracks.
But this is Martin Sirma is looking to take a new best time as he runs round the corner. He's got some great times in the forest already. No one has gone faster than him at the early split points in the course, so it's looking really great for the Latvian. He's going to take a great lead over the Belarusian Aleksionok, and it's going to be, as he runs on this sandy ground, a new fastest time in the time of 38:10, and that is 2 minutes and 14 seconds ahead of second place. That's been a great run for the Latvian, even though we saw him make some mistakes, and some more GPS routes here for the Finn and the Latvian currently in first place.
Yeah, we see again a parallel mistake from the Finn, from the young Finn. So he didn't lost too much time there, but still it seems that after a great start he has some problems even running into control number 8. So he probably lost this kind of flow a little bit. And now we see another mistake to control number 2, which is quite a tricky one, I think. Bjarne Friedrichs, he lost the direction there in the middle of the leg and came way too far to the right and had to relocate. Yeah, by the road.
So that's unfortunate for the Finn there, who's someone we thought could be challenging for a top 10 position, and it looks like it's not a great start from him.
Yeah, it doesn't look that good after these mistakes, and I think that's the thing. We are not going to see a lot of big mistakes today. Not from the top guys, but if you lose 20-30 seconds in 2-3 places, I think you're out of the game.
So back on the start line, this is Thor Norskov from Denmark.
It's actually his first race at this year's WOC, so he's not tired from the very tough long distance 2 days ago. And some fun fact about him. We see Olli Janano now.
This is the split number 1. This is control number 10. He will run up the steep hill and then go over the crest of it and punch a control into before running through the arena, and he's already down on the time of the Latvian of Semes. He's lost, I think, even more time going through this course here, and after a great start into control number 1, it's not looking good for Olli Ojanho. Here he is, and it will be 49 seconds behind into third place behind Semes and Schwarz from Denmark. So not the start he was hoping for, but possibly will find it a bit easier in the second half of the race where the contours are more defined. He run under the bridge and through the quite interesting arena where there's opportunity for him to be cheered on through both sides. This quite narrow passage, and then something a bit different underneath the tent where there's all the catering and the shops, and then back out of this bowl-like arena up the slope. He will pick up some water and head up the sandy slope. We can see already how the sand has been churned up.
Some more GPS from the forest. I think it's the other mistake we not quite saw before, but Ojanho lost more time there. So even going out of the control, he's not very distinct with his direction. So it seems like he kind of lost the momentum after the great start.
Yep, he is just, I think, being a bit careful and not very confident in his routes, and possibly that's a directional error. It's difficult to get the right direction if you're not paying 100% attention to your compass.
Yes, and the thing is, if you do a small mistakes, you're getting stressed because it's middle distance, it's going to be tight, and then it's likely that you do another mistakes.
Ralph Street, part of the sprint relay team, and took an 18th place in the long distance. It was some great results for the Brits. They all took a new best place in the long distance, so that's what we like to see, even though no one in the top 10. But this is Ralph Street, and he's going to punch this control in 4th place, 51 seconds behind, and taking the sharp corner to run around the top of the arena. He will go through the arena passage and out to the next part of the course. So this is 2.4 kilometers down of the 6K course.
51 seconds behind. Martin Schulman from
So Ralph Street passing through the arena. He's already taking a quick look at his map to get the best route into control 11. There's been a little track cut into the woods so they can make their way into the forest with some ease, and this was a different route choice into control number 1, but it lost him some time, and I don't think this is the best choice of tactics for Ralph Street.
No, I think he lost even to control number 2. He lost a bit of time, and don't think that it's best to go around to number 5 as well. So, but we could see that Sirmais is he's going pretty clean, and that's what the advantage is compared to Street and Ojanho.
But would you say that going straight is generally the best route choice?
Definitely, for those who can execute it well, and I think we will see that later on, that the top guys, they should run straight if they want to have good splits.
Yep, so you can see just how close it is, especially compared to the long distance. The first 10 guys within 1 minute and 23 seconds. But Semes, who is our leader at the finish at the moment, he's still the guy with the fastest time at TV split number 1, which is also control number 10. And out at split 2, Søren Schwarz. "28, 34 minutes of running so far as Søren takes this fairly easy route to control number 18, and he may well post a new fastest time. He's got 12 seconds to get there. This is quite a short one, and this is the new fastest time for the Dane, for Søren Schwarz to take the new fastest time by 8 seconds.
Yes, he seems to have good control. He was looking far ahead after punching. That's always a good sign that you are really ahead in your map reading. So good to see.
Yeah, it's all about flow, the middle distance.
Yeah, I think it is. It's really important to go through the course smoothly. Maybe you don't need this extra speed you need in the sprint and even in the long distance, but if you can stay clean the whole race, that'll get you a really good result.
Eskil Shinberg, he's about to start, had a good race so far in the long distance.
Yeah, it was impressive to see. He came 5th there after a really strong finish as well. So all the 3 Norwegians did really well in the long distance. They came 1st, 4th and 5th. So they are going to be a team to watch for the relay, that's for sure.
Definitely the Norwegians could well defend their World Championship title in the relay, as Eskil Shinberg makes his way into the forest, already looking at the route choices to control number 1. He will most probably go straight through this area, which is a bit whiter at the beginning. Out in the forest, this is Robert Merle. He's making his way to split number 1, control number 10, and running with a few of the others, with Bartosz Pawlak and with Friedrichs from Germany as well. That was control number 9, so it's up this slope he goes. And now these micro route choices are actually important to be able to avoid some of these fallen trees as well.
Yeah, you're right, Catherine. I think it's not only important to choose the right lines on the map, but even in the terrain. So looking far ahead and choose the best line is important today.
But Robert Merle, he's going to take a new fastest time at this point, and it's 36 seconds ahead of Sermes, the Latvian. It's looking good for the Austrian. That's the first one we've seen who's been able to take a faster time than Sermes into control number 10. Sermes is still our leader at the finish, so maybe this will be the first guy who can challenge him significantly, running with Bartosz Pawlak, the pole, and of course here there's no forking, so they will be taking the same course around the rest of this race. They will not be splitting up unless they choose different route choices, but this map is not as much about route choices, it's about execution and heading in the right direction.
GPS from Robert World, he chose to run to the left a little bit, gained some time on Sirmais, but we know that Olli Ojanaho ran really good straight, so maybe it's even better to go straight. And here we see some very similar lines for Merl, Sirmais and Schwarz, but Merl seems to, a little mistake from Schwarz there. Merl just seems to have a little bit higher speed maybe than Sirmais, and he's going very clean, so that is key today.
Yep, he's going very straight, as also Schwarz made a little mistake as well into control number 9. And a new 3rd fastest time at the second TV split. We can tell you Peter Hodkinson's gone through in 3rd place. He's 1 minute and 10 seconds down on the time of Søren Schwarz. This is Wojtek Kral, ranked 17 in the world. And he's had a 6th in the sprint and 4th in the sprint relay.
Here we see some GPS from Tor Nørskov, the Dane, and we actually see that he's running really clean to this control number 2, really straight, and he's ahead of Merl and Sirmais in this point of the race. We see that even he is choosing the direct route choice to control number 5 and 6. So really good start from the Dane.
So we know he's actually got the new fastest time at control number 6, which is 18 seconds ahead of Robert Merle. And that just shows the speed through the forest. I think he's taking some great route choices, particularly going round the depression into control number 5, as you saw there, and that was really great. And the brother of the silver medalist in the long distance.
Yeah, we can say that's one of the living legends in our sport. Valentin Lovikov, at the age of 42, he's still competing at a really high level here at WOC in Estonia.
Yeah, he's got 4 golds in the relay for Russia, and 11 WOC medals overall. So not been performing at his best recently, but then he is 42.
Of course, it's hard for him to keep his level that he did earlier on. But he actually said he will continue until he has an individual WOC gold. So we have to see if that happens today or if he has to run another WOC next year.
Yeah, he might be waiting a while. But the warm-up area is getting less busy by the minute. That's Gina Kirschbaumer there, but back in at split number 1. This is Jonas Vitatas-Vildis from Lithuania, punching control number 9.
He's an interesting guy. He actually was 5th in at WOC 2011 in France, which was probably the most technical WOC ever, or the most technical WOC race ever. And he's been around for quite some while, so he's a very experienced runner. Let's see what he can do into this first TV split.
And I think that camera angle made it look steep, but some of the camera angles we've been seeing into that control disguise just how steep the slope is. But this is going to go into a new 3rd place for the Lithuanian, 41 seconds down. A good start, but not quite the top at the moment. This is Florian Havald from Switzerland.
The first of 4 Swiss starters, because they have an extra spot, or Matthias Kibbutz has an extra spot as defending world champion. And he was running in the sprint relay already, where the Swiss team won the bronze medal. So I think he's in quite good shape. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do.
And will the Swiss guys like this terrain, do you think?
Of course, it's not typical Swiss terrain, but I think they compete on a high level, and this is of course not the best terrain for the Swiss, but I think it's the same for maybe even the Scandinavians. It's not typical terrain for them, so I don't think that it will be a big problem for the top nations to adapt to this terrain. It's not that special.
This is Sandevea going into control number 18, just punch number 17, and that's he's already behind on the time. Current lead at this point is Søren Schwarz with 28 minutes and 51 seconds. So he is already 4 minutes behind the Estonian. He is the first of 3 Estonians going today, as we also see Andrew Blanes. He's gone into 8th place, but Sander Verha from Estonia into 14th.
This is Søren Schwarz coming to the finish. It's going to be a quite good time. I think he can fight for the lead. Should be a new best time.
Yeah, well, he's got 37 seconds to make it over the bridge and to cross the line. This was the first guy in control 18 to take the lead from Sermes, and it looks like it's going to be a new leading time from the Dane, one of the early starters, the Danish first starter. So it's the new fastest time, 20 seconds ahead of Sermes. He made some mistakes out in the early part of the course, but hopefully it's kept it a bit cleaner. And this is Thor Norskov going to control number 10, and the time is looking good. He's got 56 seconds to make it in ahead of Robert Merle, and this is a new fastest time from Thor Norskov, and he goes 49 seconds ahead of Merle. That's looking good, and that's a very big gap into 3rd place, 1 minute and 25 seconds. So that was some good starts from the Dane, who we saw had a very high speed through the forest. That was Schwarz's mistake as well.
Yeah, that's a really impressive start from Thor Norskov. We even see that he's staying close to the red line and running very smoothly into control number 8 and 9 as well. So he's doing a great technical job.
Yep, he's got a good speed through the forest, but I think also he hasn't made any mistakes that we've seen in the first part of the course, and of course, and that is the key. It's easy to run one leg well, but you've got to run it. The men have got to run 24 legs well, and this is Schwarz and Oyanaho in the forest.
Yeah, the current leader Søren Schwarz, he chose to run a bit to the right, not going over the highest tops. And I think it paid off compared to this slightly left route choice of Oyanaho.
Yeah, that route was less green. This is Ralph Street into control number 18. He's a bit down on the time at the moment, but it's looking pretty good. He's got to make sure he looks around him into control 18.
I think he did a direction error here.
I agree.
He should go to the left. I think I already saw the control before.
Yeah,
so
he needed to follow the ridge mostly, and there is a track that leads to this control, but well, there it is. And he's realised his mistake heading left and back up to the ridge at the moment. It's only 2.5 metre contours, but actually in these places they are fairly distinct. Can he see the control now? There we go. And that was a mistake, possibly 15 seconds mistake, and puts him into 5th place, 1 minute and 27 seconds behind. And that's how easy it is to make a directional error.
I think that was a classic example of middle distance mistake. So we're not going to see big mistakes, but here it's interesting to see that Ralph Street ran around to control number 15. I think it wasn't too bad to do that, but yeah,
I think he lost a little bit of time on that, and this is his mistake. Into control 18, just heads down the hill a little bit of a direction. He was heading in the right direction then, and is running similar time to the Finn, with Schwarz out in the lead. And this is linked to the time of Ralph Street, who is going very straight, close to the line at the moment. Andris Jubilis from Latvia. Let's see if we can find him at control numbers 9 and 10 before he runs through the arena. Current leading time at this point is by Thor Nørskov from Denmark with 14 minutes and 14 seconds, so he's already 1 minute and 10 seconds behind. But we've already seen some good gaps at this point in the course, if we can see him coming through the terrain. And Andris Jubilis going up the hill, and he's already 1 minute and 30 seconds behind. As we see Peter Hodgkinson making a sprint finish with the runner from Brazil in front of us. He goes into 3rd place, 2 minutes and 3 seconds down on Søren Schwarz. This is Jubilis, and it's new 5th fastest time for him. Goes equal with Søren Schwarz, 1 minute and 42 seconds down. But this is Frederik Porten, probably the best Finn in the forest.
Yeah, usually he is. I think maybe Oyanaho challenged him a bit this spring, at least on the middle distance, but he did quite an okay result in the long. He came 10th earlier this week, so yeah, maybe he can improve on that today.
So these are the current standings at split number 2. This is control 18, Søren Schwarz taking an 8-second lead ahead of Thermes, and some of the Brits also up there. This is Robert Merle going to split number 2. Can he take the new fastest time at this point? That was control 17 in the depression, and he's running also with Bartosz Pawlak as well, still running with the pole. And this is the good route into control number 18. They just got to stay along this ridge. Keeping along the left side of it is easier, so you keep the slope going down on your left-hand side and not veering off to the right, which is what we saw Ralph Street do earlier. And very direct into the control here, which we can already see. And it's a new fastest time for Robert Merle. 1 minute and 21 seconds. He's made a bigger gap now. This is Eskil Schenenberg going into control number 10 at our first TV split, and current leading time at this point 14:14, with Ivan Sirakov from Bulgaria also at this point, and it's going to be a new fastest time for the Norwegian, who was on the podium in the long distance, so 16 seconds ahead of Nørskov. and 1:05 ahead of Robert Merle, who we've just seen going to the TV split number 2 in the lead.
And we also see that he has a really high speed. Sirakov is struggling a lot to follow him.
So Shinneberry not as quick into control number 2, but then doesn't have the speed of Norskov at this point, but is a bit neater into control number 5, and then again into 6, has overtaken the Dane, and they're both going fairly straight into 7. It just has slightly cleaner routes, I think, into the controls, and is able to keep the speed going for longer. Frédéric Tranchant, the silver medalist from the sprint. He is more of a sprinter, though. If we see his long distance time, he was 21st in the long distance, but he doesn't normally do the middle.
No, it's actually the first time ever he runs middle at WOC or even the European champs. But yeah, he can orienteer, so.
And possibly the shorter distance will suit his sprint ability.
Yeah, he has really fast legs, but we have to see if he could recover well after the long distance 2 days ago.
But back at split number 1, at the 2.4 kilometre mark, we're waiting for the Czech Wojciech Kral, who is coming up the hill now. He's set a pretty good time, the second fastest time at control 6, but he's nearly behind the current lead of Eskil Shinneberry at this point. He's got to make his way up this slope out of the depression, and he's going a bit further to the right, as we've seen people, but that's a good line, avoiding some of these fallen trees. But he's already 4 seconds behind the Norwegian. After a good start at control 6, he's lost a bit of time now, and this is going to go into the third fastest time, 17 seconds behind Shinneberry.
And we see already that the time differences are going to be very tight today. And now Olli Ojana is finishing. The young Finn, he will not beat the time of Søren Schwarz in the finish. It's going to be a third best time, I think.
And it's pretty disappointing for the Finn. He's got 3 JWOC medals and could have been fighting for a top 10 position today. So third place, 56 seconds down on the lead. He will try and recover from this race, and then we'll go on to the JWOC in Finland, where he will have some big aims. This is Timo Sild, arguably the best of the Estonians. He took 10th place in the long distance. Do you think this would suit him a bit more? We saw him go round a lot in the long distance. Maybe this will force him to go a bit straighter.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's for sure it's really different kind of terrain. I think it's a terrain that more nations are going to master quite well. So I don't think that he has a big advantage in this race.
Some of the British sprint favourites watching there. But this is Olli Markus Taivanen from Finland.
It's another interesting guy. He's always running in shorts, as you can see. And that's maybe a bit surprising, yeah, when you consider this kind of terrain here. But still, I think he is not going to care.
Well, there's not too many, sharp or spiky things out in the forest today, actually.
No, I think it's going to be all right. There are no nettles or anything. And now we see Valentin Novikov from Russia, but he's late.
He is behind on the time at the moment, and all he has to do is go up the hill. And he's already over half a minute behind as he makes his way through all these brashings to go up the hill and over the top to get to this control number 10 before the arena passage, and he is a bit late, but here we go. It's going to go into the new fourth fastest time, 52 seconds down for Valentin Novikov, one of the legends of our sport. But here's a guy who my co-commentators have been getting very excited about the Swiss Florian Howald. They are Swiss. This is why they are excited.
Yeah, we really are. We follow him on GPS and we see that he's going really well in this first part of the course. He was coming into a new best time here, 38 seconds ahead of Shinneberry, and that's actually a lot after 13 minutes of running.
That is very impressive, and here's some of the route choices.
He went slightly to the left to the first control, and we even see that Shinneberry lost some time there. Howald didn't make possibly the best line to control number 2, and even to control number 5 he's not that perfect, but Novikov makes a mistake there, so he can get away in this virtual comparison, running very clean into control number 7 and really straight on into control number 8 and 9. And he has a high speed, so that's looking good for this first, not quite the half of the course, but maybe a third.
Albin Riedefeld, this is his first competition of these World Orienteering Championships in Estonia. What can you tell me about this Swede?
Yeah, he was 12th last year at the WOC middle distance, and he did actually make, it was his first WOC and on home ground, so he was quite under pressure, and I think he did too many mistakes there, but had a really good speed, so it's going to be interesting to follow him. And he's one of the very best technical runners in Sweden. Even at night time he's one of the best.
Well, we've just had Ralf Street go into the finish in 8th place, but here we're waiting for Thor Norskov from Denmark. He's had a good start to his race, although it hasn't been completely clean. Well, no, the first start was pretty good, pretty clean. And here he is going into control. That was control 17. And we can race behind him. These are some of the white areas, and you can really see that it is a bit easier to run through. The visibility is actually pretty good, so what he needs to do is keep running along this ridge, keeping the slope going down to the left of him, and he will make it easily to this control. It's going to be close on the time of Robert Mell, but it's a new fastest time by only 1 second for Norskov, as he has 1.5 kilometers of this race still to go. And here are the routes. Norskov did have a big lead on Mel, but what has happened?
Yeah, we see Norskov losing some time into control number 12, but maybe just by hesitating. And then it seems like Merle is just running faster in this part of the course, a little bit at least. And they are really equal right now, but we have to, it's 6 controls left from there. And we saw Bartosz Pawlak, he was running together with Robert Merle before, so the Austrian hasn't arrived yet.
No, Robert Merle, we're still waiting for him. You were right, he was running with the pole, but which is possibly why you can explain a good running speed, but maybe he has faded at the end, but he's still got a minute to go to make it to the finish to set the new fastest time. But where is the Austrian, as we see the pole already make it to the finish line? So it's down the hill here under the banner, and then we'll round the corner, go up and over a bridge to make it to the finish line. But he's got 40 seconds to make it there, and it's looking good for Robert Mell, even if the pole got away from him. So up and over the bridge, going over the top of where they came yesterday as the rain starts to fall here. And we'll be going through the finish line to set a new fastest time. The Austrian, he will be 19 seconds ahead of Søren Schwarz, new fastest time of 37:31.
Some more GPS. I think it's the mistakes they make into control number 5. Glebov was off to the right, but he relocated quickly, even Novikov. But Portin hasn't punched the control yet, and that's a big mistake. And even Glebov going into 6th was far off the line. And for sure, you cannot come back from such a mistake in the middle distance.
No, we said we'd be finding some mistakes, but possibly not as bad as that. This is Jan Petzela from the Czech Republic. He was 18th in the middle distance in Europeans last year.
He ran the sprint earlier this week and came 25th. But it's actually the first time he's running middle distance at a World Championships.
I wonder if we can find out how much time Portin lost on that mistake. We will, of course, catch up with his routes.
Some more GPS, Robert Merle compared to Søren Schwartz going into control number 19. And here we see a mistake from Merle. That's maybe the place where Bartosz Pawlak ran away from the Austrian. And here he actually chose to run around to control number 21. We were talking about it and we weren't that sure if that's maybe the only place where you can gain some time by running around. But I still think going straight is better even there.
But here is split number 2. It's called Control 11, and this is Eskil Shinneberry. This is control number 17, so he still has to make his way along the ridge to get to control 18. He's looking very carefully at his map, needs to make sure he keeps his head high and finds some of these micro route choices, some of these tracks that go through the forest. You can just about see some of them underfoot. And they provide some good running speed through the forest. And here is the control. And it will be a new fastest time. This is a good lead, 1 minute and 31 seconds for the Norwegian. That's a great new fastest time.
That's really massive if we compare to Nerskov and Merl, who were just 1 second apart. So if he can keep it together, that's going to be a great new best time. We see the GPS comparison between Shinneberry and Nerskov. And Shinneberry seems to have slightly higher speed than Nerskov, who loses some time like to every control. And yeah, I think it's mostly about speed here. Nerskov seems to run clean as well, but Shinneberry just runs faster.
Yep, so the speed from the long distance and the speed endurance really looking good. This is Lauri Sild, brother of Timo Sild as well. Another great Estonian.
He didn't run any races earlier this week, so he should be very fresh. And he actually came 6th in the WOC Middle 3 years ago in Italy. So he knows what it takes to be on the podium at the World Championships in middle distance.
This is Jan Šedivý from Czech Republic as well. He's ranked number 14 in the world. Last year he was 17th in Strömstad in the World Orienteering Championships.
And he actually came 6th last year at the European Champs on home ground in the Czech Republic. So he's for sure one of the best runners in this middle distance start field.
So we're looking for Wojciech Kral, who is 17 seconds behind Eskil Shinneberry at our first TV split. The current fastest time at split number 2 is 25:58, so he's already behind. He's been struggling in the second part of this course, and that was control 17. So just along these tracks now, keeping the slope on his left to get to control 18.
He's for sure not going to beat the time of Eskil Shinneberry, but I think he will. Yeah, he's going to run into a second position here. 56 seconds behind the Norwegian. Some more GPS comparison. Shinneberry compared to Wojciech Kral.
And I think we're going to see Kral lose some time at some points over these GPS routes. He was only 17 seconds behind the Norwegian at first, but is just not got the speed through these ups and downs.
Yeah, and he runs slightly more around and running a little bit longer distances all the way. And we know that Shinneberry had the highest speed by far in this part of the course. And even a small mistake there into control number 17.
We've also had Frederick Tranchon go through TV split number 1 in 5th place. This is Johan Runarsson.
Yeah, he's very known to be a fast starter. As you can see here in the pictures, he's starting out really fast compared to some other guys we saw earlier on.
But this is Norskov from Denmark. He's punched the final control and will come round the corner, and his time is looking good. Over a minute to go and take the new fastest time at the finish, and it's looking great for the Dane, who's had a good race out in the forest. Over the bridge he goes, and you can see the rain in the arena at the moment, but he's just got some more strides to take, and his time is looking great. It's going to be a new fastest time for Thor Norskov from Denmark, and he is very pleased with his run. 36.45, as this is Timo Sills through the arena run through and into 6th place. He's running with Portin, who we can say is 5 minutes and 34 seconds behind, and that was all as a result of his mistake into control number 5.
Timo Sills coming here, passing into the arena. In sixth position, sorry, sixth position.
Nice to see some emotions there from Thor Norskov. He knew that he finished strongly, and now we see Florian Howald from Switzerland.
Yep, and he's running alongside Valentin Novikov. He's been able to catch him 2 minutes there, and the Swiss guy is running through. The fastest time at the moment is 25.38, so it's looking pretty good on the time of Shinneberry at the moment, if he can make this control cleanly on. And there we go, new fastest time by 11 seconds. You've been following his GPS, which we'll probably see on the screen soon. And running alongside Valentin Novikov, the two of them are taking different angles out of this control.
Here we see the comparison. He was way ahead of Shinneberry in the arena passage, but he didn't run that well to control number 12. He actually followed the wrong spur down the big hill, so that's where he lost most of the time. But now we see that Florian is running a little bit faster than Eskil even. So he has the speed, he just has to keep it together now.
Yeah, we can see how he gets a bit kind of going forwards and backwards in comparison to Shinneberry, but he's the only one who we've seen running quicker than Shinneberry at the moment.
And a really interesting route choice of Timo Sild, even to control number 2, he chose to run around, and you see that this is clearly slower than going straight as Howell does. Even control number 5, he runs around, and that's clearly too much. He lost almost a minute, I think, only by, yeah, mostly it was because of his route choices and not really because of his speed.
I mean, he's kept it clean, but then this is a mistake into number 9, so maybe when he does go straight, he doesn't have the navigation to be able to set it up, taking similar tactics to the long. This is Daniel Hubman.
He's the sprint world champion, and it was really interesting to see that he ran around a lot in the long distance there, because usually he's a guy who runs straight all the time. He's known as Mr. Compass in Switzerland, and yeah.
Do you think he will then change his tactics from the long distance to this middle distance and go by his strengths, do some analysis and see that lot going round didn't really work for him?
I really hope so.
and was also the Swede Gustav Bergman, who it's his first race of this World Championships.
I actually expect a lot from him because he wasn't running the long and he's fresh.
But into the finish, this is Eskil Chinneberg, and it's looking very, very good for the Norwegian, and that's going to take a huge time out of the Dane, out of Norskov. What a great run from the Norwegian. We've seen he's had a really, really great speed through the terrain, and this is looking very, very good for the Norwegian. It's going to be just under a 2-minute lead, as he's also running with Spain as well. And it's been a great clean race for Eskil Chinneberg. That's what we wanted to see out there, and it's going to be a 1 minute 59 seconds lead, 34.46. What a good run for him.
Yes, that was very clean, but we have to wait for Florian Hovald to come to the finish, and then we will see if Eskil is still faster than the Swiss. Here we see Alvin Riedefeld passing. The Swede didn't have the best start. He's 1 minute and 49 seconds down on at the arena passage. Some GPS comparison. That's probably going to explain why Riedefeld lost this much time. Taiwan doing a mistake into control number 2. And Riedefeld...
Yeah, he made that mistake into 2 and then again a mistake into 5. This one's proving really tricky, actually. Maybe because it's surrounded by all the green and there's a few similar routes there.
Even to control number 7, Taiwan did a big mistake. I think there's actually a control of the women there, so maybe he came to this one first. And now it's going to be interesting. Thierry Georgiou at the start line.
Thierry Georgiou, he sets off, and this is someone who we were talking yesterday. If he could pick any terrain for this middle distance, apart from in France, he would probably pick this one. We were saying it's going to be really good for him. He's going to have to orienteer very well, and of course that is what he is best at. Even if he's not got the speed of some of the top guys anymore, then it's going to be some great orienteering needed to do well on this course, and that's what Georgiou is the master at.
And here we see the comparison between Chinneberg and Hovald. It seems like Hovald is maybe 10 seconds ahead of the Norwegian. So really tight battle between Hovald and Chinneberg. But we know that it's not that far to go after control 21. So it's just out to the field to control 22. That shouldn't be a problem. And then there's only 2 controls left.
So here we are at control 24, the final control, and this is Wojciech Kral. The fastest time at the finish, though, is 34.46. He's already behind Chinneberg, but it looks like he's going to settle for second place currently. He had a good start, still our 4th fastest at control number 10 is the Czech athlete, being cheered on by his teammates, going up and over this bridge and really attacking the line. On the middle distance, seconds do count, and he's going to go into second place, 50 seconds down on the time of Eskil Chinneberg at this point. And on the line, this is the defending champion. This is Matthias Kuberts. Do you think he will be extra motivated today because of his race in the long distance?
He's for sure really keen to take revanche after the long distance, and even the sprint he was just half a second behind the medals there, so he came 4th and was of course quite disappointed even in the sprint. And after his his problems with his lenses in the long, where he had to drop out, he's for sure really motivated to do good today.
Yeah, we were speculating when we saw his GPS stand still whether he was injured, but we saw him posting on Facebook, it's a shame we had to drop out, but at least I'm not injured. I'm still fit to go here, and here's some of the routes.
You see that Hovald and Chinneberg running really straight into control 19 and 20, and a small advantage for the Swiss who is still running together with Russian Valentin Novikov, and he actually nailed control 21. So that was really nice running.
Yeah, I think he's probably 15 seconds, 20 seconds ahead there. So he's been pre-warned into the finish, and we will see him soon whether he can take a new fastest time at the finish. There was a big lead for Shinneberry when he came and crossed the finish line, but this looks like a good route, as Shinneberry also not taking the direct line into control 22. Now these two are fairly easy, but this is live on the time of Florian Howald, so we can just see whether he makes this depression at control number 23, and it looks like he's heading in the right direction, so we're waiting for him at control 24.
We saw from the GPS that his lead is approximately 20-25 seconds, and here he is.
And he's got 55 seconds to make it to the finish line, and it's looking good. My co-commentators behind me are very excited at the lead that the Swiss has, and will only have to come down this hill, take the left-hand bend, go over the bridge, and the new fastest time is here. It's looking great for Florian Howald. He's had a very clean race and some good speed, the only one who's managed to really match the speed of Shinneberry as he goes on the flat on this sandy arena to cross the line with, it's going to be a new fastest time. It's going to be 34 minutes and 30 seconds, a 16-second lead ahead there of Shinneberry, which was pretty good. This is Laurie Sild going through in 6th place. Just a bit quicker than Timo. It's going to be a battle between the two brothers, definitely, as who's going to take that lead. But he's also already caught up on Jan Petrezla from Czech Republic there. So the two of them running together, and that'll give Laurie Sild a good boost. And we've already sent Jonas Mertz off to see if we can get that as Elena Roos' girlfriends. They said they were the best couple in the sprint. Congratulates him on the line. And that 16-second lead. This is the standings at the finish. Florian Howald, Eskil Shinneberry, Wojciech Kral, the current leaders, and then Tornoskov, who is 2 minutes and 15 seconds behind. So we will try and get the thoughts there. And this is how the two Sild brothers have taken their routes.
Yeah, Lauri is running really straight to control number 2 and even 1 compared to Timo. And we see the same picture into control number 5.
And these are just possibly the tactics of Sild, although he makes a better route into control number 6 and is actually probably running a little bit quicker through the forest. He should just run through the forest all the time. We've seen he's got the faster speed of his brother. But this is another of the 4 Swiss guys who we have in the forest today. Fabian Hertner. What can you tell me about him?
He was quite disappointed after the long distance. And you can see he's running really fast on this first meters, so he's really motivated to do better. I think he prepared really well for this World Championships. It's a guy who can really peak his form for the big moments or the big competitions in the year, so I expect him to do well today.
Timo Sild, just seen his brother Lauri go through the arena passage. This is on his way to control number 18 at our second TV split, but he's already behind the time of the leader at the finish, Howald, and it's about a minute behind at this point, but hopefully he's had a little bit of better route into this part of the course. And again, out to control number 9, this is Johan Runesson of Sweden. And he's running with Jan Sedevi from Czech Republic. He's caught him up 2 minutes. And we will just see what time he can do at this control. He's behind the time of Florian Howald as he makes his way up this steeper slope and out into the arena. So the time is going to be 13 seconds behind Florian Howald, who I can say is joining me now fresh from setting a new fastest time on this course. How was the course and the map for you?
Yeah, I must say it was really amazing. I really enjoyed it out there. I had the control from the beginning, and I just tried to do my job, and it was really enjoyable.
What was your strategy for the race? What were your tactics?
My tactics was to start calm, to get grip of the map, and then just to make the job until the finish.
And you must be really pleased with this start, even though was mistaken to 12?
Yeah, I got quite nervous when I ran through the finish. Couldn't really handle it, and I just tried to stay calm to do my job, but then to 12 I was a little bit unsure.
And was it what you were expecting in the forest?
Yeah, it was maybe a little bit more green even, but then we really expected this green and difficult stuff.
Can you talk us through the routes we're seeing here?
Yeah, it was quite. The second one was quite difficult, and then to fifth you could speed up a bit. I tried to go to left through the white area, and yeah, it looks really cool to follow the name this Giorgio. So yeah, I had a clean start.
Definitely, and it's the fastest time at the moment, although that's slightly quicker from Giorgio. Congratulations there. We will see how it fares from the rest of the race, but looking good so far.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, this is Daniel Hubman now into split number 1. And the current fastest time at this point is 13 minutes and 20 seconds by Florian Howald. So Daniel Hubman is a bit late. He is currently 17, 18 seconds behind Daniel Hubman on this first part of the race. So Howald very happy to be quite close to the master of the middle distance, Thierry Georgiou, at this point. But Hubman is a bit far down and taking left-hand route into this control number 10. So 41 seconds down, Hubman goes into 4th place.
And I think that tells us something how strong the race or the start of the race of Florian Howald was, and even the start of Giorgio, because we saw him running a bit faster than Howald. So the French could do really well today.
So Daniel Hubman, the gold medalist from the sprint distance, he's got to power through and under this big marquee to go up the other side and into the next part of the course where the contours get a bit more defined. There's a little bit more green. Here are some of the routes though.
It's Runeson, Howald and Hubman compared, and we see that Runeson started really well into control number 2. So Howald is probably catching up sometime into control number 5, and even control number 6. Runeson was a little bit too far to the left and didn't run that straight out of control number 6 as well. And yeah, but it's a really close race, and we know that Howald lost some time on the 12th control, so maybe Runeson, if he does well on the second loop, he can catch Howald.
That is very true. Hubman just looks a little bit slower through the forest, not quite taking the micro route choices. You've really got to keep your head up and look for some good ground to get through. This is Gustav Bergman. He's going into split number 1. And again, he is also already behind the time of Florian Howald, who we just talked to in the commentary box. So 26 seconds behind already the Swede. In this, his first race of these World Championships. We'll go through some of these brushings, these fallen trees on the ground, and we'll get his time. He is also going to be behind Hubman.
So there are not too many guys left after Berryman, and Howald is still in the lead, so that looks good for the Swiss.
Looks very good for the Swiss. But as we saw on the GPS, Giorgio has been looking good. And I think we are waiting for the Frenchman here. So the fastest time at this point is 13 minutes and 20 seconds of Florian Howald. So where is Giorgio? And we can see the tall figure of the Frenchman coming through these brushings. It's going to be some great terrain from him, and the time's looking pretty good. So he will make his way to this control 9, and head slightly left up this slope. It's very steep slope. I think the camera doesn't quite tell you how steep the slope is. I was standing at the top of it, and it looks pretty menacing as he attacks this course and this hill with 13 seconds to spare. It's actually going to be very close. And is it going to be a new fastest time for the Frenchman? It's close. It's going to be a new fastest time by only 2 seconds ahead of Howald, and we know how happy Howald was to be close to the time of Thierry Georgiou. So a pretty good start for the Frenchman. A few micro route choices, but we know he was looking quick. What was his lead over Howald? It was a 5-second lead over Howald at control 6, where we have a radio control, not a TV control, just a radio control. And the long legs of the Frenchman. We know he is a master at this distance, this middle distance race.
He won it 7 times before, but the last time was 2011. So yeah, it would be really cool to see him win it again in his last WOC. I would really like to see that.
So Bergman also making a mistake in the early part of this race, and here we can see how Howald chose to stay in some of the white areas into this control. Bergman also a little bit of a not going in exactly the right direction into control 5.
Yeah, and Howald and Georgiou, they run almost the same all the time, and they have quite similar speed as well.
On the start line, Magna Daly. He is our last starter out in the course. So in about hopefully 33 minutes time, we will be able to tell you who the world champions are for the men's middle distance. He was 4th place in the long and is a guy who has got lots of strength, we know, in the terrain, and this may well prove good for him. But into the finish, this is Timo Sild. The Estonian being cheered on on his home soil, and he is looking like 40-50 seconds behind at the moment. The Estonian flags are being waved for Timo Sild, who is not going to match the time of Howald, but he's going to go into 3rd place, 1 minute and 1 second behind, and it's looking pretty good for him so far. Hasn't lost too much time on the 2nd or 3rd parts of this course. Maybe that's where you're forced to run a bit straighter through the forest, and actually he couldn't run wide, and that's where he lost time. This is Kiberts into split number 1.
For sure doesn't look like the world champs going really his way, because he's down more than 1 minute into this first TV control. So I'm sure he will not be able to catch this time on in such a tight race.
Yeah, I think that's correct. As he tries to find a route, you can see some of the tracks here over the hill, and 1 minute, and it's going to be about 20 seconds is too much time to catch up as he goes into 11th place, splitting the 2 Sild brothers. Not a great start for the defending champion. But now we're waiting for Laurie Sild. And that's Jan Petrezla still running with Laurie Sild, and but these are live splits compared to Thierry Georgiou.
And this is interesting because we know that Howald ran on top of the hill, slightly left to the red line, and then he followed the wrong spur. But Georgiou seems to have full control there, and he can maybe extend his lead into control number 12. So far, I think this is at least a medal race, what Georgiou does here out in the Estonian forest.
It's looking very good at the moment, and Howell actually lost a lot more height into running through the depression, and then has had to climb over it again. And he will take the chair of the current leader, but who we're waiting for, it's Fabian Hertner, the one of 4 Swiss guys running today, and this is the view as we see him approach control number 9. We'll see him coming through this forest. This is a kind of a picture of the visibility in these green areas of the forest. It's these lower trees that really block the visibility, but there we can see something moving there and a flash of red. It's Fabian Hertner coming through to control number 9. And the current lead at this point is Thierry Georgiou, 13 minutes and 18 seconds. So he's got 25 seconds to make it up the hill and set a fastest time. It's looking good for the Swiss runner at the moment. He's got to go through these trees, being followed by our cameraman here, and running up the hill. It's going 9 seconds. It's going to be very tight on the time of Georgiou, as we'll see him emerging from the forest. It's very, very close and slightly down. So it's got the same time as Florian Howell, the current leader at the finish, and it's very close to these 2 Swiss guys. But here at split number 2, this is Johan Runesson from Sweden, also running with Jan Chedevi still, and the time is looking pretty good. It's 8 seconds to get to this control. And the Swede has had a good second half of the race. He was down on the time of Florian Howell by 13 seconds at our first TV split, so he's caught up some time, and that was possibly because of the small mistake that Howell made into control number 12. So great second part of the race by Johan Runesson, and looks like he hasn't made any mistakes.
Yeah, now it's getting really interesting. As the time's getting faster and they are getting closer together, we see a mistake from Keyboards, or not a mistake, but he wasn't quite close to the line there, even to control number 5. He was running a bit too much to the left. But Hertner and Georgiou, they go really well into these controls, and they also have approximately the same speed. Maybe Hertner loses some time into control number 9 there, a little bit, but that is going to be a close battle between Georgiou and Hertner, who are actually teammates in the Finnish club Kalevan Rasti and won many big relays together.
This is Albin Riedefeld into the finish. The Swede is already down though on the time of Florian Howell, so he's not going to challenge even for the top 10 positions at the moment. So he will cross the line, going into 8th place for Albin Riedefeld, 2 minutes and 41 seconds behind.
He's a little bit late, I believe. 30-20, the time has run out against both Georgiou, Howell and Hertner.
So this is Daniel Hubman into control number 17. And he is got 11 seconds to make it to control 18, but he's going to be behind on the new leading time that we have from Johan Runesson. So where is he going to be placed? In fact, is he probably caught up a bit of time from earlier on? Yep, he was 41 seconds behind Howell at split number 1, so now he only goes 10 seconds behind, so that's a great second half of the race for Hubman. He's caught up 31 seconds. But Olaf Lundenes is making his way to split number 1, and he's already behind on the time. He is nearly a minute down on Georgiou, and it's not quite his his long distance run for the defending silver medalist.
Yeah, it seems that we have to wait for the GPS, but it seems that he didn't have the best start, that's for sure. And 1 minute is quite a lot of time. We know that Howald lost some time on the second half, so Hubman was able to catch a little bit of time. But still, there is Georgiou out on the course, and even Runesson did really well, so it's going to be really hard for Lundanes to catch up this minute.
But Alexander Kratov is making his way to split number 1 as well, the Ukrainian. And pretty good time for Alexander Kratov, who's starting quite late in the order of starts today, and he's going to be close on the time of Georgiou, but it's very, very close at the top behind the two Swiss guys, so he's going to go into 4th place. Only 7 seconds behind. That's pretty impressive start then for the Ukrainian, and this is Gustav Berman. The ponytail, distinctive ponytail of the Swede, he makes his way into split number 2. Now the leading time here is 25:44, so he's going to be a bit behind, and this is the view as we see him coming down the ridge, and he will make his way to the left of camera to punch this control number 18, going into new 3rd fastest time, just 1 second ahead of Hubman and 9 seconds down on his teammate Johan Runesson.
So we see what makes middle distance so exciting. It's always a really tight battle, and here we see some GPS, Georgiou compared to Hovald and Runesson, and that's the only little mistake Hovald does in the whole course. But he relocates really quickly, so that was I think a really good reaction of Hovald. And we see that Georgiou still going strong and taking good lines, and he has a very high speed as well, so he's in the he has an advantage, and here he is.
Speaking of high speed, this is Georgiou going into control number 17. New fastest time at this point, 25:44, so he's got a whole minute to make his way to control number 18, and it's looking very good for Georgiou as he goes further up this hill just out of camera. Now we'll see him running all the way down this slope. He'll come just to left of camera where we can see the control. This is a short one, about 100 meters between control 17 and 18, and it's going to be a great new lead from Georgiou, who was only 2 seconds ahead of Howald at control, at our TV control number 1. So what a distance the Frenchman has taken out of both Runesson and out of Howald. But into the finish, this is Lauri Sild running with Jan Petressa still, and it's going to be a bit slower than the time of his brother Timo, who had a good second half of the race, going a lot straighter to his advantage. So it's going to be the second best Estonian time, just down on the time of his brother. So it's going to be 1 minute and 9 seconds behind the time of Florian Howald as well.
Really interesting and really exciting to see that Georgiou does what he does best. He stays clean, and we see a comparison between Kratov and Georgiou. We know that Kratov wasn't that far behind at the passage, and even Lundanes he had some problem into control number 2, and Georgiou and Kratov running away from the Norwegian world long distance champion, and even into control number 5. That doesn't look very good from Lundanes. I think he was running too much through the green there. And Kratov and Georgiou very similar there into control number 7, 8 and 9.
Yeah, I must say Kratov has got some good speed going through the forest, but not quite as quick as Georgiou, and these are the routes.
And here we have Kratov live compared to Hertner and Georgiou. And we know that these are some of the top guys we are waiting for right now. So Hertner has approximately the same speed as Georgiou has.
This is our last starter though, and he's already down on the time of Georgiou, who just seen take the new fastest time at split number 2, and he is going far behind the Norwegian. It's not been a good day at the moment for Norway after they had a really great day a couple of days ago in the long distance. So he is 1 minute and 46 down in 19th place. He will not be happy with that. But back in the forest, this is Johan Runesson. He's coming to the finish. He's being chased by Jan Sedevi of the Czech Republic, who's managed to hang on to the Swede. I think a couple of the Czech guys have benefited from this, and it's going to be a new fastest time from Jonas Runesson. He's got just over a minute to make his way into the finish, and we can see the speed of the Swede's legs as he makes his way down this slope. Arms flailing though, needs to get some control as he makes his way on a tight left-hand corner. He's going to come up and over the bridge to make his way to the finish line. He was 3 seconds ahead of Howell and has made a bigger gap. You can see the mistake of the Swiss guy has put him down in the second half of the race, so it's going to be a new fastest time from the Swede, from Johan Runesson, as he dive bombs onto the mat, and it's 33.58.
He's the first one to run under 34 minutes, so that's for sure a really good time. And now we see keyboards approaching control number 18 here.
So Thierry Georgiou just set the fastest time at this point with 25.06, and Keyberts is already 1 minute and 18 behind, although he was 1 minute 20 behind. And is this a mistake? Is this the same mistake that Ralph Street made? No, I think he's staying fairly close to this ridge, even though he was pushed slightly right. I think it's a bit easier if you keep on the left hand of the ridge.
And we, in the meantime, we are waiting for Daniel Hoopman, I think, coming to the finish. But we see some GPS comparison, so Georgiou is still going really strong. No, it's Hertner actually.
No, it's Georgiou
in the lead, yeah. But he's been chased by Hertner and Kratov.
Into the finish, we are waiting for Daniel Hoopman. I'm not sure how long the the run through the finish line takes, but Daniel Hoopman, we know, caught up a lot of time in the middle part of the race. And here he is. Here is the Swiss guy, the Swiss runner, the world champion from the sprint distance, and it's going to be close. He's going to go all the way up to the line compared to Runesson, looking a bit more measured. He's coming around this corner, but we know he's got some sprint speed, even though he's been running a lot of courses already at these world championships. It's going to be very close with 9 seconds. It's going to be too close to call in the time of Runesson. We have to wait until he crosses the line. And it's 1 second down off the time of Johan Runesson, and those are the margins on the sprint distance. Having a bit more on the middle distance. It's also close margins on the sprint distance. Oh, now he caught up some good amount of time on that second part of the course. Whew, here's some routes.
Here we see some GPS. Interesting that Runesson chose to run to the left. I think he didn't gain much time there, but he didn't lose either. And Hoopman was actually in front at control number 21. And I think Runesson just did a little bit better in the end.
Yeah, he just had that bit better sprint finish, and I think we could probably see that as Hoopman came down the hill. But here is Fabian Hertner. No, this is Luca Basse.
I think
Lucas Basse is going to come, and he's probably being chased by the Swiss Fabian Hertner. Let's see whether he comes through the forest. May well hear him before we can see him.
Here he is.
Here he is. There we can see him chasing Luca Basse, who he's caught up by 2 minutes. And he's a bit down on the time of Georgiou. He was only 2 seconds behind at the TV split. Number one has lost a bit of time on Georgiou's excellent race, and it goes into second place though.
Now we see Gustav Bergman. He finished strong as well. I think this could maybe be a new leader.
Well, we will see, as he takes only 16 seconds to get to the finish line, and keeping those arms pumping from the Swede. It's very, very close again here still, and he's got 7 seconds to make it. He will be able to hear Per Forsberg telling him to run faster, and he's going to be too late. Goes into third place, splitting the Swiss runners 2 seconds behind. So the first three all within 2 seconds of each other.
That's insane. But what a great race from Bergman as well.
I think he's a bit annoyed with himself, but this is Thierry Georgiou coming through the finish. He's going to find control number 24. It's just up this route here in the open area, and the fastest time to finish is 33.58. He's got a huge lead. It's going to be a gold medal for Thierry Georgiou in his final race. We think it's going to be. Okay, we will hold on. He's coming into a new fastest time in his final individual race in the World Championships.
What a performance from Giorgio, coming back from like he won the last time 6 years ago, and he wanted this gold so badly to take back. He's always cheering. He knows he did a great job out there.
So he knows he's got a great lead. He can hear it from the crowd, and the favourite, the master of the middle distance orienteering, takes the new fastest time. That is 46 seconds.
What a race. He can still do it.
That is
very cool to see.
An incredible race.
And he's so happy.
Thierry Georgiou. Is there anyone out in the forest who can challenge him?
I think it's only Hertner, maybe Kratov, who can challenge him. I mean, Hertner is quite interesting. He caught Basset, so maybe he can benefit a bit from the Frenchman, and that's actually quite a cool story, because last year at WOC middle distance, Basset caught Hertner, and they were running together quite a long time out there in the forest, and now it's the other way around.
A legend in orienteering, and everyone knows the name of this guy, of Thierry Georgiou. So there are a few people who can challenge him, and here's some of the GPS routes.
We see that Hertner is some maybe 10-15 seconds behind Georgiou, going to control number 14, and some different micro routes here over this marsh to control number 15. In the meanwhile, we have Olaf Lundanes.
Yep, Lundanes is down though on the time of Thierry Georgiou at this point. This is split number 2. This is control 18. He's just got to run along this route, and he's not going to match the time. He's already a minute and a half down on the time of Georgiou.
And we know that after Lundanes it's only Kratov and Deli out in the forest. So there are only 2 guys who can challenge Georgiou at this split number, or this TV split number 2.
Kratov, he's also making his way into split number 2. Now Georgiou's time at this point was 25:06, so he is already late. It's going to be a nervous wait for Thierry Georgiou. I think he could feel that he had such a great run in the forest there, and it really played to his strengths. So Kratov, let's see what the gap is. He's going to go into 3rd place, 20 seconds down. So it looks like at the moment it is Hertner and Kratov who are the only guys who can challenge Thierry Georgiou.
And here we see some GPS, Kratov going slightly more to the right. And I think he lost some seconds there. But
Hertner was so very close though to Georgiou, but made a mistake into control 16.
Yeah. He stayed a little bit too high there on the slope. And here we see Kratov live, and Kratov and Hertner are, I think they are fighting for a medal, definitely. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they master this last tricky control in the forest. Control 19, 20 and 21, and here's Matthias Kiberts coming to the finish.
Yep, Kiberts has just got to go up this slope and find the final control before making his way down into the run-in. Leading time of 33:12 though from Thierry Georgiou, so it's a minute and a half behind, and Kiberts will be disappointed, the defending champion.
Yeah, that's for sure. He's still without the medal. Came 4th in sprint, had to drop out in the long distance, and today it won't be a medal for the Swiss. So that's for sure disappointing, but he still has the relay tomorrow with a strong Swiss team, together with Hoopman and together with Fadiem.
So Kiberts goes into 7th place, 1 minute and 54 seconds behind. So we've just Georgiou has just made it his way into our commentary box, and we're just updating him on how close Hertner and Georgiou are. So this is the live synced with Alexander Kratov. But Thierry Georgiou is joining me now in the commentary box, and that is a new fastest time at the finish. You must be really pleased with your run.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was pretty tough emotionally. I mean, like, of course, I'm very experienced, but it's good I have this experience because I was not nervous. I felt I had prepared so much for this race, so I was pretty relaxed. But I mean, like, it's your last individual race of your career. You just run it once, so it's something you are never really prepared for it, and I must say it's pretty tough because you get tons of messages, and of course I thank them all, and it has been fantastic. But yeah, you can feel it's not a normal day, even though you try everything to make it as normal as possible. But it's pretty tough mentally. I was really prepared, and I think it was just enough. I should not have prepared less.
We were talking to some guys yesterday, and who were saying that if you had to choose a terrain, maybe outside of France, this is the one type of terrain you would like the best.
No, not really. I prefer when it's really stony and hard to read, but yeah, it's.
This is one of the guys, though, who could challenge you for the medal, but it's looking like Fabian Hertner is going to be late, so it will only be Alexander Kratov who can possibly challenge your time, but he was also a bit behind, so
it's just fantastic. I think Fabian will be second. I mean, we are both running for Kalevan Rasti, so it's a very good friend, and probably his last World Championships as well, so it's. I think it will be a nice podium. Lot of friends.
That's a great podium, and you look like you kept a very clean run. We knew today was all going to be about not making too many mistakes.
It's hard to be clean, and I'm sure like there are many routes which can be optimized, and I was on many legs I was very close to lost the grip on the map because it's very diffuse. Those 2.5 contours make it even more challenging because even small depression is almost like a flat, so you really need to be accurate with compass, and it's not as easy as it seems from the map. Little bit like actually like in Ukraine in 2007, like low visibility, a lot about compass, and you need to be confident all the way. Like okay, maybe it's this, and I go for it.
But here we can see on the GPS route, this is Hertner and Kratov. Are you feeling confident for the last?
I think so, because my end I didn't feel super strong physically, but I ran clean, so I don't think he will catch me.
So how would this World Championship title, in your last individual race on the World Championships level, what does this mean to you?
It has been... It's a dream coming true, because as an elite athlete you want to finish on top, and most of the time it's not possible because I'm a player, and I mean I would like to continue this up to 45, but at some point I could already feel like my speed is not like 10 years ago, so I knew it was just time to do it one last. And I prepare just for this race this year. I didn't run the long distance. It was a tough decision, but honestly, I would have exchanged all my medal in long and sprint and relay just for this one, because it's really what I love in orienteering. Like, you are always on the edge, running as fast as you can on a short time. It's challenging. A lot of people can win, and my last one was 2011, so it's a long journey, and I have been struggling, like always close to win. So I still had the face, and I knew I could make it. But still, this number 8 is like for Federer in Wimbledon. Now he's looking for his 8th, and I know he's really preparing for this, like I did today. And for me, it's my absolute 8 win in middle distance. I'm pretty proud of this number.
Well, you can just hear there from how you're describing it just how much this one means to you. Congratulations on this run. Obviously, we've still got Kratov to make it into the finish line, but it's looking really great for you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I didn't have time to, yesterday I had to turn off my phone and my email because I was getting so many messages, and so of course I will answer you all, but thanks a lot for the support. It was really, really nice to see that a lot of people were caring. But just one word, it's for, of course, my girlfriend and the little baby who is inside, and they have given me a lot of energy, and I'm longing to be home now.
Well,
of course, every day.
Actually, we just want to keep you in here whilst we check whether that your gold medal will be confirmed, because this is the only guy who could beat you. So this means you are the world champion in the middle distance race. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, and I'm really happy to be on podium with Fabian and Olex. Olex, has been struggling the whole spring with injury, and technically is one of the best. And it's a good friend. So he's a guy. His spring was terrific, and still he does the third place, so it's big for him as well.
Well, thank you very much. So that was a third place for Alexander Kratov, as we hear some great words from Thierry Georgiou, and we are able to confirm to him live on air that he is the world champion in the middle distance in his final event running as an individual in the world championships level. Goodness me. And he's about to be a father as well.
What a race, what a day for him. And here we see some comparison. I think Hertner had a small advantage coming into control number 6. He made a little mistake there, but he's still in front over the road. So Hertner with a little bit a better start, but there you see Georgiou stays really close to the line all the time, and he seems to doesn't give away many meters or seconds coming into the control. So that's, I think we were talking about it earlier on, that it's absolutely crucial and key to keep it together the whole race, 24 controls, staying precise. Another small mistake by Hertner. I think he maybe had the speed to challenge his clubmate in Finland, but he just seems to be a little bit more off here and there, to the left or to the right into the controls, and Georgiou is just running perfectly like he's on rails, and that's an absolutely great race.
Well, it was number 8 for Thierry Georgiou, and he said he would exchange all of his long and sprint medals for this one, and he's done it. But this was the last starter. We're looking for now in the forest Magna Daly, and it could be a top 10 finish for him. Georgiou's time was 33:12, so already late on this time, and we're looking to find Magna Daly for the final control.
Yeah, that's for sure a small disappointment. I think he maybe got the branch or something in his face. I think he was bleeding a bit there, but that's for sure a disappointment for Daly and the Norwegians in general. And we were talking about how important it could be not running the long distance for Georgiou, because he was fresh. Even Alexander Kratov didn't run the long, so interesting to see that two of the medalists didn't run the long distance 2 days ago, so that was maybe a good decision for them.
So Magna Daly, he's going to come in around a similar time to his teammates Shinneberg and Lundenes, the 3 best Norwegians, and he will go into 9th place, 34:53, splitting up Shinneberg and Lundenes. So 3 Norwegians in a row. So now that is all the finishes we have. And yeah, that does look like Daly has had a branch in his eye, as the spectators are able to now recover, and I think we are able to recover as well. But these were the final results. Thierry Georgiou was able to take a win by an impressive 25 seconds ahead of Fabian Hertner And then Alexander Kratov, who is only 5 seconds behind that. Johan Rinsen into 4th place. Daniel Hubman into 5th place, another podium finish for him, if not a medal. Gustav Berman in his first race of these World Championships into 6th place. Florian Howald in 7th, and then a trio of Norwegians into 8th, 9th and 10th. So the top 10 in 1 minute and 42 seconds behind Georgiou. Kiberts, it was not the run for him, into 11th place, and then Timo Sild and Nori Sild, Lauri Sild into 12th and 14th respectively. Basse, 15th place run for him, and Tor Noskov, one of the young Danes, a very young Danish team that we have here at these World Championships. He had a great run into 17th place. So maybe we can sum up a little bit before we head to the flower ceremony about this men's middle distance race. What do you think? What can we make of it?
I'm still a bit amazed by the performance of Georgiou. So it's really nice to see like this big stars. I think it's quite nice that he compared himself to Roger Federer, because it seems like they are among the most popular sportsmen in their discipline, and they still managed to do really well towards the end of their career. So that's cool to see.
But these are the flowers being presented. Of course, we will get the official results later, where the athletes will get their medals later on today. But in 3rd place, and the bronze medalist from Ukraine, it is Alexander Kratov. So a 3rd place finish for him, a pretty consistent race. As I don't know if you can hear the bass rumbling through this arena as he receives his flowers. So in 2nd place, and the silver medalist from Switzerland, Fabian Heltner. And he should be very pleased with his race, having some good speed, but not quite the ability to keep the orienteering as clean as the master of the middle distance. And then this is a special one. It's the world champion in 1st place and gold medalist running for France.
His 8th world champion gold medal in middle distance.
On his final individual world championship race, it is Thierry Georgiou. And we heard from him just how much this one means. His 8th. And we can see some of the spectators wearing King of Orienteering t-shirts. This is the king, especially of the middle distance, his 8th world championship, as he is about to retire from the world stage. What a masterclass in orienteering, and very popular amongst all the orienteers here.
It seems that greatness doesn't get old.
Not for Thierry Georgiou. What a way to bow out from his individual orienteering career. He's going to be a coach from next year with the Swedish national team. They will certainly benefit from his orienteering wisdom. What a master of orienteering. And we knew today on this course that there was the probability of people making mistakes, and we certainly saw a lot of them, but some of them larger than others. But someone who was able to keep it clean most of the race, even though he didn't say he always had contact with the map, was Thierry Georgiou. These are some of the supporters of the King of Orienteering, as they say, on their t-shirts. And what a great race. But we've got the women's race to look forward to as well. But for the moment, we are going to say goodbye from the men's race. We'll be back at about 3 o'clock our time, which is 2 o'clock Central European time, for the fastest of the runners from the women's middle distance race. But from this arena in Vitipalu, it was the world champion Thierry Georgiou who could take his 8th middle distance world championship title. So until 3 o'clock local time, it's goodbye from me and from Jonas Mertz and Jonas Matters.
It was so nice that, there was one guy coming from